Hello and welcome back to another SwansCast match preview as we enter round 3 of the championship season. And I am joined this week by Glenn, who is a avid Coventry City fan and helps out with some content across the internet, I should say. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Glenn, you probably do a better job than me.
That's all right. Thanks for having me on, Luke. Yeah, my name's Glenn. Basically, I'm a Mad Coff fan. I have been since 1992. I always wanted to get into like journalism and stuff like that as a kid. It never really happened. And then during lockdown, I started the Sky Blue Hub, which was basically a Twitter account which basically shared everything all Cov City related. And that kind of led to me getting involved with. I hosted a few shows and appeared regularly on Sky Blue's Fans TV, which you can find on Twitter, YouTube, everything. And they do a Sunday match preview show and a Thursday night match preview, match review show. So yeah, that's what I do. You did most last season, and this season I've started helping out with a new channel called All Things Sky Blue, and they do a lot of Twitter Spaces, and they do a Twitter Space every Sunday around 9 p.m. and have fans on to chat. So basically, it's a bit like a radio phone in without the idiots, because the Coff fans hate the radio phone in because they have the old Cyril who's had sat at home with his whiskey, listening to it on the radio, giving his blow by blow match reviews. So yeah, it's quite good.
I think the radio stuff's a bit. I don't know. Say something to offend anyone,
dated.
But I think these days, dated. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I had words spinning through my head, and I was like, "How's the right way to put this?" But yeah, on the internet now, Twitter Spaces. We haven't actually done one, but we keep meaning to try it out. But everyone's telling me they are a good thing to do for interaction and kind of getting involved with the community. So we'll have to jump on that. But sounds like the more modern version of maybe the radio phone in, where you're kind of having a bit of a chat on the pub, but in your house. Is what I gather from that.
Yeah, and I think they started lockdown. I think the whole fan content interaction became a really good thing, and yeah, the Coff fans are really good about like just talking about stuff. And the club used to put on like old matches, so you sit and watch YouTube, and you could watch them. So yeah, that's really kind of where it all spawned out from. And yeah, we've got loads of fan channels now, probably more than some Premier League clubs, to be honest. It's really like, oh, there's another one popped up again. So yeah, it's from when I started, it's got a very populated space now, which is really good because everyone does everything differently.
Yeah, always market for more, isn't there? And obviously you'll help each other out as well. Okay, so Coventry are coming to South Wales this Saturday on the 19th of August, 3:00 kickoff. It's keeping a very Midlands theme going for Swansea at the start of the season. So our games so far have been a home tie against Birmingham, an away tie to West Brom, and obviously now we're going to host yourselves this weekend. So we haven't managed to beat any of you yet, so I don't know what that says going ahead of this game, but obviously we're going to try and discuss some of that now. So looking from more of a Coventry perspective, we'll go to the transfers in a second. So aside from transfers, has there been any big changes at your club over the summer? I know obviously last season ended in perhaps disappointment, but I guess it's how can you build from that? So has there been any changes back of house management, board level, structure, anything like that, that maybe is going to make a difference this year?
I think we've probably just got a bit more organised and a bit more professional off the pitch. Obviously, Saturday was our first game back at CBS, and it now actually looks a bit like Coventry City's home rather than a football team playing at a rugby stadium, which is basically what it looked like. We didn't really feel like we were there. It was all Wasp stuff. Now it's all Coventry City stuff. The concourse has pictures up, ironically, of Gus Hamer, which was great planning when he went midnight the day before the ground was reopened to the fans. But yeah, Doug King's obviously came in and he's put the prices up a bit. But I think obviously how it's played out, as we'll talk about the transfers, it's worked out really well. And the kind of hangover where after Wembley, I mean, I hate Wembley. I hate losing now. It was really horrible, and I couldn't. It was just it was an awful day because like the coach was an hour late. Then obviously the thing that happened with Tom Lockyer. Obviously I was there with my dad and my eldest son, and my dad knew somebody who died like of a heart attack, and that was the immediate thing when Lockyer went down. I was like, oh God, I hope it's not what we all thought it was, and that just kind of made it all a weird atmosphere. And then I didn't watch any of the penalty shootout, and I knew Dabo was missing. No part of me ever thought Dabo was scoring. Unfortunately, much as
Oh
Mark
well.
Allen as he was pinging him in training, I knew that he wasn't going to score, and that's the worst feeling in the world. So, yeah, I think there was a bit of a hangover, but now we're generally a positive club. Season ticket sales have gone a record, and yeah, we've got the feel good factor back, and yeah, it's really positive, which is really not unlike after last year where we were complete utter shambles.
I mean, the beginning of last year was weird, wasn't it? Because you kind of didn't play a load of games, and it looked like you were quite far adrift at the bottom, but it was kind of a false position based on your games played as well. So I think all credit to the way that the team bounced back and ended up finishing in the way that they did finish, really. So I don't know if you've got any thoughts about that, like last season in general. Were you expecting to get to where you got to?
No, I mean I watched my first Cov home game. I think was October the 1st against Middlesbrough, and the season started end of July, and I didn't get to a home game before that because obviously there's pitch issues, and then I was away on holiday. I genuinely had worries that Mark Robins was going to go. Obviously, we sold our centre half to fund the pitch. We
Yeah.
didn't really invest the money. We didn't really buy anybody. We spent a little bit of money on Casey Palmer, but everyone else was literally rookie loans. We signed a lad from Crystal Palace who played one game and then disappeared off the face of the earth. So yeah, I was
Who was
really
that?
worried. We were Tayo Adaramola. He played literally one game against Bristol City and then went back to Palace. So yeah, he was the left wing back that we waited for all summer. So yeah, that was a real masterstroke by the club, unfortunately. And yeah, we played at Burton Albion in the League Cup game, and it was absolutely horrible. I walked out the ground, everyone I saw was fuming, raging. We lost 4-1. We were absolutely just livid. And then I think we went to Norwich and lost 3-0. I was away actually. I was down in Cardiff at the WWE with my eldest watching that, and all my mates were texting me saying we're absolutely shambles. Mark Robins is absolutely raging after the post match. I'm really worried that he's going to walk and we're going to be in big trouble. And then suddenly we just clicked into gear and we went on a run. And then obviously we played you guys. We were 3-0 up, and that's some of the best football we played. And then we imploded, and then we kind of went on a little bit of a wobble, and then we got our act together again, and then we went on an absolute storming run where we shouldn't never got in the playoffs. And in hindsight, we got in the playoffs because our goalkeeper scored the 96th minute against Blackburn. Realistically, that was the difference between us and Blackburn points wise. Yeah, and then we got to Wembley, and I genuinely thought we were going to do it, but we didn't. And fair play to Luton, a lot of respect for them. Love the fans. Really, if there was anyone who was going to go up besides Cov, I wanted them to do it because there's such a great story, and they've fought their way back up the leagues like Cov have.
Yeah.
And obviously Swansea have done the same. So yeah, I see the similarities with those sort of clubs. I think I'll probably respect them more than wanting it to be a Middlesbrough or a Sunderland
Yeah.
because I don't think they've always got the money in the fan base. Whereas I think like Brighton as well. I love that story, and Brighton fans empathise with Cov fans as well. So yeah, that's the positive on it. So yeah, it was a good season, but we've got to back it up this season.
Well, it's a good
See where we go.
start so far, though, and I think you've spent a bit of money this year, haven't you? Obviously, I know there's a bit coming in for Gyökeres, so that leads us nicely on to maybe transfers then. Doesn't necessarily need to be a roundup of everyone, but in terms of key ins and outs, obviously you've mentioned Hamer, I've just mentioned Gyökeres. So there's a lot of money coming in for, I guess, your two star players, if it's fair to say, from last season.
Yeah.
So how is the squad looking with that money now being reinvested as well? And how much are they going to be missed?
I think in terms of Gyökeres, I think we've done quite well. I think Ellis Sims has got a lot of potential. He's probably just not quite there yet with us. I think he just needs a bit of game time to get used to us. Hadji Wright, who we've got, love the bloke. I've seen him twice and probably in like 20, 30-minute cameos. And I think he's going to be someone to really watch. And I'm absolutely amazed that a Premier League club hasn't come in. In the same way, I'm amazed that a Premier League club hasn't gone and took Pirlo off you.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, well, I hope Pirlo and Grimes do one and before Saturday's game, but I don't think that's going to happen. But no, I'm genuinely amazed that a Premier League club hasn't taken. When you look at all the Premier League clubs that keep saying, "Oh, we need a striker," he looks to me like he's got the raw attributes to be really promising. So yeah, he looks good, and yeah, we've gone and the caliber of player we're getting in is better now. We've gone and bought a lot of permanent signings. I think we've only made one loan, whereas last year I think we had 5 in. I think we ended up using 6 because obviously we got McNally and Cuffy. So yeah, it was more than that actually. So yeah, we haven't really gone down the loan market. So yeah, I'm happy with the replacement for Gyökeres. We've gone and got a Dutch under-21 wing back who looks really promising when he gets some speed. Bobby Thomas looks an absolute steal. I think he'll be better than Luke McNally. If proper centre half gets stuck in, I'll probably say he's a bit of Al Ashley Williams mould. Puts his head in where it hurts, wins everything. And yeah, it just depends who we get in for Hamer to replace. But some of the names that we're hearing bandied about, even if they are like wind-ups, you're thinking anything's possible now. You really wouldn't surprise us who we sign, because if you'd asked me we were going to spend up to 8 million on a striker and up to 9 million potentially on another striker, I'd have sent you off to the loony asylum, because I wouldn't have believed that in a month of Sundays. But yeah, we've definitely got money, and we're buying a better standard of player, and obviously with that comes the added pressure, but also it raises expectations of the fan base, because we have a bit of a faith that we always say do the Brentford model or do the Brighton model. But yeah, I think we are starting to go down that way, whereas in the past we'd sell somebody and we wouldn't know whether Robbins was going to get the money. And if he did, he'd only get a pittance. And I think now he's got a bit more money to go and get somebody. So it'll be interesting to see who we get to bring in Hamer. But yeah, some of our fans think we're going to buy Matty Grimes off you, and I was like, there's absolutely no chance. But in the month of Sundays,
I
but
haven't seen them linked. I hope not.
That's the level that we're looking at now, that people are thinking we could go and get a proven championship midfielder. I think we'll probably go and maybe get Callum Stiles off Barnsley, because I think Robbins likes him and he's about the fee we'd look at. He's dirt cheap. I think he's a couple of million. And then I think we'll go and get somebody from abroad. And if he's as good as like Sakamoto, who is another I've missed out, he'll give your fullbacks nightmares, because he's good with his left or right foot, and he does this little chop left or right and then chops back again, and every defender I've seen him can't stop him, and he's got a good cross on him. So that'll be a tough test for your wing backs if he comes on and plays.
Probably the area to exploit as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about some of your players I want to mention in a second, but you mentioned Sakamoto and whether maybe he will play. So what sort of style to expect to see or have you played this season so far? Would it be the same against Swansea? So what can Swansea fans expect to see in terms of you on the pitch, how you would line up, what sort of formation, that sort of thing?
We'll stick with pretty much the Cov formation that we've played, which is wing backs, back three. The slight twist on it than what we did last season was we went to like a box midfield or a 3-man midfield, and then had so like Hamer, and we had 2 others alongside him, and then Hamer had a bit of a free role. Then we'd have Casey Palmer and then Gyökeres on his own, because Gyökeres on his own literally just ran the show. I think now we've got more to 2 up top and Casey Palmer in behind, and then we've got Josh Eccles and Ben Sheaf in the midfield, and then we'll probably have Josh De Silva at wing back and probably Milan van Eerwijk. I can't probably butcher his name. And then we'll have Sakamoto coming probably off the bench, because he can play left wing back or right wing back, and he's a good option to pass the bench. I think he's better out wide than in the middle, because obviously you know what the championship like. You get bullied quite easily in the middle of the park. So we'll probably play a bit more football. We'll probably play more like we did against you at the CBS, where we absolutely ran rings around you at times, and played really good passing movement football. Whereas I think when we came to play you guys at your ground towards the end of the season, we were kind of more of a counter-attacking side. I think we've kind of moved away from that to more the Robbins ball, as we like to call it. So yeah, I think we'll pass it a bit more, and some of the moves we've done in the first couple of games have been really, really impressive, and I think we can only get better. So yeah, I'm really excited by it. But yeah, I don't think we'll be hoofing it forward to Gyökeres like we used to do. Yeah, and say go and beat the whole team and put it in the top corner or cross it. We'll be a bit more structured and pass it, and probably not as defensive, and probably play a bit higher up, which obviously has its problems, because if you've got pace in attack, you can obviously win the ball back and get at us.
Yeah, well, so that sounds interesting. So I think, your season last season and the signings you made this year, I think it's quite scary opposition for us. So I'm not sure how confident I am about this game. We're going through a bit of a transition with the new manager, so I can't even tell you. Like under Russell Martin, I would say, we're going to try and keep the ball. You're saying about running rings around us, but that would have frustrated him because that would have been the game plan for us, is to frustrate you with the possession. Duff probably isn't so much that being a priority, but still we are getting more possession than the other teams. So it'll be interesting to see how this game turns out. I was just looking, obviously you mentioned the 2 results from last season, both draws, 3-3 when we went away, and 0-0 obviously when you came down here. But I didn't actually realise until I've just pulled this up now, and I'm probably going to jinx us just for mentioning this, but you guys haven't actually won against us in the league since 1981.
Yeah, we have a
By all
terrible record
accounts.
against you. Yeah, we
But
have a rubbish record against you.
Probably a long time where we weren't in the same league, the biggest gap being from 1983 to 2008. So it's not quite as bad as what it looks like on paper. I think it's only, 12, 14 games, I think, in a row.
Yeah.
But I feel like now is the time you're going to maybe make a change there, if I'm talking honest, because a little bit concerned about you heading down. I think you look good against Leicester in your first game. And obviously you've gone and smacked Middlesbrough 3-0 by all accounts. And last season they look good. I know they're not maybe doing much at the moment, but they were a good team last year. So to win 3-0 is a good result. You mentioned your formation as well. I just wanted to ask specifically about a few players. Obviously Gyökeres is gone now. We knew all about him. A little bit of one of them where it's like, how has he gone for 20 plus million based on what we saw at Swansea? Because that is not the same player. I don't know what you did to him. We didn't really give him enough of a chance, to be fair. I'm not trying to bad talk him, but it's one of them where you see that the next club he goes to and you're like, we missed out there massively. But Joel Latibeaudiere obviously signed this season on a free, technically, I guess. I think it's like 500k compensation. You've got Jake Bidwell, and obviously you mentioned Casey Palmer as well. So 2 of them likely to start, maybe not so much Bidwell by the sounds of it, but how are those 3 fitting into your team right now? And I guess specifically Latibeaudiere, what have you made of him since he's joined?
He's played all right. He's played left centre back for us in the 2 league games, which I probably don't think is his best position. I get the impression because I think he captained you guys. Am I right? Quite a few times.
He captained based on the other captains not being available.
Okay. Okay.
He was never like, I think like Grimes is captain. I couldn't tell you who our vice captain is. I don't think it's named. So when Grimes hasn't been on a pitch, he has once or twice then filled that gap in. Russell Martin spoke of him as being quite a good leader, wanted to tie him down to stay on. Obviously, he couldn't get it done. And then when Martin's left, I feel like the conversation just stopped there. Maybe he just wanted a new challenge. But he is a centre-back, preferably, from our experience, and he played right back a lot last season because of our deficiencies in that role.
Yeah, I think the long-term plan is I think he will probably go into the middle of our back 3, and I think we're looking at bringing another left centre-back in. But in terms of performance, I think he's really good. He gets stuck in. He had a bit of a horror moment on Saturday where him and McFadden kind of left the ball for each other, and then Middlesbrough conceded to miss practically an open goal from 5 yards out. Besides that, he gets stuck in. He's competitive. He's got on well with the fans. So yeah, I think he's definitely someone who I think I like, and I see the logic of getting him. And he's another who we've bought who's got playoff experience, and most of our signings we've bought in, bar a couple of the foreign lads, have played in the playoffs for a team or in a team that's in the final or made the playoffs, which I think that sort of experience we probably didn't have last season, and we didn't really at Wembley show our true potential. I think first half we were absolutely awful, and we should have been out of sight. So I think Robbins is identified maybe a little bit more experience. So yeah, I think Joel, sorry, I keep calling him Josh. I always do that. I don't know why. Joel will be a good signing for us, and I think long term he may well become our next club captain. And I think he'll eventually move into the back middle of the back 3 once McFadden slowly gets phased out. But yeah, McFadden I keep saying that every year, and McFadden still plays 30 odd games for us. So yeah, I'll probably playing for us till he's 40 at this rate.
Yeah, it is interesting to see him come and hold on a place in your back 3 because he never really could do that over here. Wondering if that's part of the reason why he decided to move on. Like I said last season, the most of his game time where he got a run in the team was because he was filling in a right back, and he did a good job there. He's not a right back, and you lose out on, I guess, especially when you play in a wing back system, you lose out on maybe some of the qualities a wing back would provide you, but he will do you a solid job. He just isn't gonna, if you're relying on that for like your attacking plan, he's probably not over the course of a season. It's going to be the best piece of the jigsaw there, but also not going to let you down at the same time. But like, it was square peg and round hole for us, and I think maybe he's seen the opportunity to go and play in his preferred role elsewhere, and it looks like it's going well for him. So good luck to him in the future. Okay, let's move on then. So I've talked a bit. I just muted myself then. I talked to you a bit about your team. 2 of your big players have gone. So if you have to name one player Swansea had to watch out for this week, who would be your key player to look out for?
I think the one who's going to needs to step up and kind of be our midfield dynamo playmakers, Ben Sheaf, and I think we saw that on Saturday that he stepped up and he continues to improve and get better. And I think he's probably our most underrated midfielder, and I think he will probably shine a bit more now Hamer's gone. I think he's probably not appreciated how good he is, and I think he's got everything in his game. He can get up and down the pitch. He wins tackles. Good in the air. He can pick a pass. Some of the passes he set up goals with last season were superb, and he's got a goal in as well. He's added goals to his game, which he hasn't. So I think Ben Sheaf, especially with your midfield as it is, with Grimes, probably Patino will play. That's a good midfield. Even Fulton's a good, solid midfielder if he plays. That'll be interesting to see how Sheaf does against you guys without obviously Hamer, and you probably have Josh Eccles alongside him, who's making his way still in the game, although he's been really, really good for us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Sheaf does against you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you just nailed on midfield. I'm expecting those 3 to start in the middle for us. I guess Grimes and Fulton played together a while. Grimes is probably one of our key players, if not, the main man. And when it works for them, it goes well. So it'll be a good battle, definitely. On that note, which Swansea player, from a Coventry perspective, are you worried about playing against on Saturday?
I'm going to cheat and say Jamie Patterson, because he always scores against us. Literally always does.
Yeah, he signed for you as well, didn't he, by all accounts?
Yeah, he did. There's a couple. I think he's pretty much tried to sign every year. That was a joke up when everyone said who was signing to replace Hamer. I put a tweet up and said Patterson just as a joke, and everyone. Well, I think we've moved on from his standard now, with all due respect to him. And I really rate Grimes, always have done, and yeah, he's one of the best Championship midfielders. Much is the same as I said earlier. I can't believe that Hero hasn't moved on. I'm amazed that Grimes, no one from the Premier League's taken a punt on him. He's always impressed me and been one of your best players consistently season in, season out. So yeah, I fear he'll probably end up at Southampton, much to your disappointment at some point. But yeah, I think he probably deserves that move and the chance to play in the Premier League, as a lot of players in the Championship do, and they don't, for whatever reason, get that chance, and they seem to prefer going abroad for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand if he goes to Southampton. I'd be disappointed because I would, if he's going to leave after all this time, love it if he got the opportunity to go higher. I don't think Southampton is a guaranteed golden ticket at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. They got a good chance. They probably should do it, but it's whether they can. I feel like the game against Norwich highlights that. It's not a golden ticket to the Premier League. So we'll wait and see. I think, fingers crossed, they spent quite a bit already, and they just obviously sold Ward Prowse, but brought in Flynn Downs quite quick. So I'm hoping that is, makes us a little bit more in the clear. But touch wood, a few more weeks to go yet. Let's wait and see what happens. As for Pirou, we'll see again. I got to wait for transfer deadline day to have any confidence in that one. He was going definitely, and now he's apparently, maybe he'll sign a new contract. So it changes every day. I'm shocked he's still here. But at the moment, he's still playing, he's still starting. And hopefully he'll still be scoring, I guess. He hasn't scored in the league yet, I don't think. He hasn't scored in the league yet. He scored 2 against Northampton in the Cup. So tricky one. I don't think Jamie Patterson will start this game. He might come in for Ollie Cooper, but if he does, I don't know whether Patino will start then. So it depends what way he goes about it at home. Maybe he'll play more of an attacking player in the 3. I'd be surprised if, well, he won't drop Grimes. I'd be surprised if Felton drops out. So we'll see. Maybe Patterson might come off the bench. If he's got that good a record against you, then maybe Duff should be made aware of that and definitely fit him in somewhere.
Jerry Yates has a very good record against us as well.
Oh, well, that's...
I think it was 3 goals last... Was it 3 or did he score 2? It was 2 and he assisted, or 3. I can't remember. I know he scored at the CBS and he scored at Bloomfield Road against us. I can't remember whether he scored or assisted the goal. I can't remember if he scored or Medine set him up. I can't remember, but yeah, he tends to play well against us. Jerry Yates. He's
had a good start to the season. He scored in the first game and hit the crossbar in the last game, so I'd expect to see him on the pitch as well. Cool. Well, that pretty much sums up this video, but there's one more question I'd like to ask at the end, just a bit of a light-hearted end to the video, and that is, when you go to any stadium, what would be your favourite pint to have on the concourse half-time before the game? What ideal pint would you choose, or have you had when you've gone to the stadium before?
I don't actually drink at the ground because I don't like them, but we have a brewery called Dillon's that's not far from the ground, and they do their own like Coventry City themed lager. So they do a lager called Ghost Town. So yeah, I've had a drink of that before, so that's quite good. So yeah, they do a whole range of them. There's one called SOTV, which stands for of our local rivals Aston Villa, but I won't repeat it. So, but yeah, they do that. I think that's a stout they do, but yeah, so that's probably the drink that most of the fans have. Yeah, it's from Dillon's. They don't buy beer in the CBS because it tastes awful.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Glenn. If you could just remind everyone where they might be able to see you contributing some podcasts or content online.
Yeah, so you can check my Twitter account out, which is at the Sky Blue Hub, and you can occasionally see me on Sky BlueFansTV, usually on a Thursday and a Sunday, or you can join our Twitter space for all things Sky Blue on a Sunday at around 9 p.m.
So basically, if we lose the game, don't go anywhere near the Twitter space, and if we win, you can go in there.
If you win, you can come and
listen to them all saying how it went wrong. I'm only joking. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Really nice to speak to you. Obviously, give me a shout if there's anything I can do to help you out, and maybe we'll catch up later in the season as well.
Yeah, all the best for the rest of the season. Bar
after the weekend,
the return trip to the CBS as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Catch you in a bit.